was just my sister and I. She was 2 years and 4 days older than me. And as children, we weren't very close, even being girls. So she protected me from the dogs because I was very afraid of dogs. And she would run all the dogs off for me. We did a lot of things together, but not as close as most sisters would be. Yeah. My dad worked for the city of Princeton with the big diesel turbines to produce the electricity for the town. He did it all on an 8th grade graduation. It was on-the-job training, definitely. He was a good man, very good. He didn't spend a whole lot of time with us because he drank and gambled every day. And that was what was prime for him. My mom was a very, very sweet lady. She was a hard worker. She took in laundries from all the rich people in town and washed and ironed all their laundry stuff up. And the one thing I absolutely hated to do was go to school and tell one of the rich kids their laundry was ready. That just really got me. But I can remember her, when I went to bed, she would be ironing. When I got up, she would be washing clothes in one of those old Wringer-type washing machine. And that was her life. She lived in this town, Princeton, for 50 years. Never went to the bank, never went to the post office, didn't know how to write a check. Because my dad was from Kentucky. And what the man said, you did, and she did. She was from Kentucky too. So, yeah, that's pretty much my folks. My dad used to take my sister and I and 2 other neighborhood kids to Riverside Park near Chicago, which was a big amusement park. Well, I was very shy and timid as a kid, believe it or not. But I would sit on the bench and watch them go on the roller coasters and all of that. And one time he said, well, there's a ride over here I think you would like. And so he described it to me. He said, we just go through this tunnel and there's big, beautiful pictures on both sides. I said, I think I could do that. So we got over there and he laid down in the boat. And I said, why do we have to lay down, Dad? He said, well, there's pretty pictures on the top, too. Well, I mean to tell you, that boat flipped up one side and back again, back and forth, all through the tunnel. And I had the best time. Then they could get me on some of the roller coasters. But I'll never forget that, ever. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I was a pretty good student because I knew what would happen when I got home. I wasn't afraid of the teachers, but I was afraid of what would happen when I got home because it's one thing my mother and father insisted on was good grades. Now, my sister was a different story. She'd rather take the punishment. But no, I was pretty, like I said, pretty timid and shy, so, and I didn't want to be in their bad mood. I used to really not dream as a child. In the days that I grew up, actually for women or ladies, the only occupation was a hotel clerk or be a nurse. And my folks couldn't afford to send me to college. So I really didn't have any dreams, I don't think, as a child growing up. I know, it's sad, but I didn't. Dr. Zhivago, I saw that with the kid's dad. And they have a character in there called Lara, L-A-R-A. And I told him, I said, if I ever have another daughter, I will name her Laura. And we did, and I did. She was named after the Dr. Zhivago movie. That was the most beautiful, beautiful scenery in that movie. The snow, and just gorgeous. And his eyes were breathtaking. They really were. Okay, the hardest lesson for me to learn in life was to let go of things I couldn't change. And that took me a long, long time. And finally, I was able, when I got back to the Lord, was able to learn how to give things over to Him and let Him handle them for me. So that was the most difficult for sure, because I like to be in control. My folks were very active in church. I remember my sister and I used to have to sit in the front row of the church so they could watch us, because they were both in the choir. So they could watch us there. And if we were good, Princeton had a little Apollo hamburger joint called the Apollo, which was just a block from church. And if we were good, we got to go there on Sunday. And that was really a treat, because we didn't eat out very often at all. So we tried very, very hard. It was difficult at times, I'm telling you, but we tried hard. What is it about NASCAR that I love so much? I can't really pinpoint it. I've been going to not NASCAR races, but stock car races since I was a little youngster. In the town that I grew up in. As a kid, you were allowed to go all over town without your parents. And so my sister, not so much my sister, she went to a couple, but I would go to the Saturday night races at the fairgrounds. And I've just fallen in love with them then, and I still love them. I don't think I'll ever get over that. I'm hoping in heaven they have stock car races. The most important thing in my life, I think, has been my children and being able to be with them as they were growing up. And secondly would be my sobriety. And that's allowed me to love my children more and understand them more. I think that would be the two most things that are important. The biggest joy I have in my lifetime, and has been for many, many, many years, is my crocheting and knitting. That has been a lifeline for me. I enjoy it so much, and more than that, I enjoy giving it away to people who like it. That's a blessing for me to be able to give it away to them. Yeah. It's a hard one. That's a hard one. The most significant change that I've seen in my almost 80 years, the principles that we should go by the morals of this country, and of course the last year and a half, COVID. I've never gone through anything like that. So I think the downcome of our religion, morals of our country, how they've deteriorated from the time I grew up, just very much so. I want to tell you about the Velveteen Rabbit and how much it meant to me in my life, and still does. It's a children's book. This is the principles of the Velveteen Rabbit, but there is a book called the Velveteen Rabbit. I don't know how many of you know, I've been sober 42 years now. And when I was in the treatment center for alcoholism, they read the Velveteen Rabbit to us, and it really struck me so much, because the Velveteen Rabbit is about a little stuffed bunny that wants to become real so bad that he would do anything practically to become real. And his owner was a little boy who was desperately ill. And they wanted to burn the bunny, and the little boy wouldn't let them. And in treatment, the one thing that stuck in my mind was I wanted to become a real person, that I knew I had never been real with anybody. And when I got home from treatment, I was living alone, and all my alcohol and beer and everything was still in my apartment. And after a couple of days of being home alone, I thought, why bother? You know, why bother staying sober? So I opened a can of beer, and I went into my TV room, and I turned on the TV. And there was this woman sitting reading the very part of the Velveteen Rabbit that I loved so much to a bunch of kids. I didn't turn the channel, I just turned it on. And I went into the kitchen and I poured every bit of booze out that I had. And I've only been tempted once since then. So, but it really had an impact on me. That you find people who are real. And I found that in our church with the people that I've encountered. I didn't know there were people out there like that until I went to this church. The end of the book is that the little boy loved him so much that as the boy was dying, the rabbit was hopping off across the field and he had become real. And that was the impact for me, that I could become real after all this time. It meant a lot. The most important thing that I want my family and friends to know right now is the love of Jesus. I pray for my daughter Ann, my son David, my daughter Laura, to find the Lord Jesus and accept him into their hearts. I also pray for my grandson Michael, Joshua and Jeremy, and my granddaughter Courtney for the same thing. The one thing I want most in life is for them to find the Lord. And that trickles down to my great-grandchildren, who are Riley, Jordan, Logan, Savannah, Erin, and I can never pronounce her name, Layla, and Emmy. And I think I got them all 7. But I pray that for them as well, that as they grow up, that the situation will come into their lives where they can reach out to the Lord and know, number one, that he is real and that he will help you. All you have to do is reach out to him, and he's there for you. And he's the most wonderful, secure Lord that anyone could ever have. He is the Lord. Without him, I could not do this at all. I couldn't. I would, I'm sure, sink into a deep depression. Yes, I've had my moments of depression. I've had my moments of crying, but I always come back to him, and he supports me and brings me out of it, and I love him dearly. I have thought long and hard about things in my family that have happened, and I'm finally able to turn that over to the Lord and forgive whatever's happened. I pray for all of my kids every night. We've had some really strong breaks in my family, but I've been able to turn that over to God and leave that where it belongs, in his hands. And hopefully that will all come to a resolution before I pass. I love them all dearly. I have done some serious thinking about what it'll be like when I meet Jesus. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to fall at his knees or wrap my arms around his loving arms, to see his beautiful, beautiful face, and just to know that I will be in his presence forever and ever. It excites me very much so. I don't want to leave my family here, but I can't think of anything more precious than being with Jesus for the eternity. It's just going to be awesome.